Whoever came up with "the customer is always right" had clearly never worked in customer service, because if they had, they would know that that statement could not be further from the truth. If you ever have had the misfortune of working in customer service, then you'll know that people in general aren't always nice. Just the other day, I had someone who I'd never spoken to before in my life screaming their head off at me over a mistake that they had made. I told them perfectly reasonably that unless they calmed down, I wouldn't be able to help them get this resolved. Their response was to tell me that it's my job to get yelled at. No, it's really not. There seems to be this mentality that's developed that it's okay to speak to someone in a customer-facing role however you want, and that screaming and shouting will always get you your own way. People don't seem to realise that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. As human beings, if someone starts to scream and shout at us and insulting us personally rather than the company that they're annoyed with, then we're naturally inclined to not want to help them the best that we could. Of course, you can't say that to the screaming McScreamersons that you may have to deal with every day in your customer-facing role, because then they'd complain that you've been rude to them, because that definitely makes sense when it's them that were yelling and screaming at you and insulting you and your competence to do your job. So here's a few tips for those of you who have been fortunate enough to never have to work in customer service and yet always wonder why you seem to be the one to get bad service when you go places. Number 1. Remember that the person who is serving you is just that, a person. So whether it's face-to-face, on the phone or online, they have feelings. If you're interrupting them, insulting them and generally having a tantrum, things are not going to go your way. Talking to them like an adult is much more likely to get the response you're looking for. You're not a 2-year-old kicking off in a shop because you've been told that you can't have sweets. Number 2. Show some respect. Clicking your fingers at a waitress or calling someone incompetent because they're following company rules so they don't, get fired are really horrible things to do. The person helping you is not beneath you, so don't treat them like it. Number 3. Don't assume that you know what their job description entails. Okay, so they're a representative of the company that you're frustrated with. That doesn't mean it's in the job description to be yelled at or to take abuse. Someone who works in a fast food place, you're not helping them by leaving your rubbish on the table for them to come and clean up after you, especially when there's a bin just probably within about 5 steps of you. Just take your wrappers with you so someone else can sit down and doesn't have to wait for some poor overworked minimum wage person to come over and clean that down for them. Number 4. Admit to your own mistakes. I can't stress this one enough. I've lost count over the years how many times I've witnessed or read about, been told about times where a customer has made a mistake or has misunderstood or hasn't read the right sign or hasn't read the terms and conditions properly, or they're just plain wrong. But even when it's pointed out to them, instead of holding up their hands and just admitting that they made a mistake, they insist that it's everybody else who is wrong. They whine and shout and swear that the sky is green, even when everyone else is showing them that it's blue, when they're told why it's blue, when they're taken outside and proven to by looking up at the sky that it's blue. Not to this customer, it's green, the sky's green. Similarly, take responsibility for your kids. Like if you let them run around a restaurant like it's a playground and then they run into a waitress who's carrying a tray of drinks or plates of hot food, then that is probably not going to be the waitress's fault. Restaurants are not playgrounds. Don't yell at someone because your kid ran into them. Number 5. Some people in customer service are rude. Sometimes you just don't get the service that you paid for. However, also please make sure you complain about what actually happened. Don't exaggerate or embellish in order to get compensation, because you could be screwing someone out of their job just because you want 50% off next time that you visit. Also, if you shouted or swore at the person that you're complaining about, don't make out that you're the completely innocent party in all this. And finally, number 6. Customer service staff, contrary to popular belief, are not psychic. Use your words. If you want to be served at a till and there's nobody actually standing there to serve you, just standing there expecting to be served is not going to get you noticed. What would help you get served faster, however, is walking along, finding an employee who works at the store that you want to be checked out at, and asking them if they could possibly come and check you out. Now that will get you served a lot faster than just standing there. If you don't want ice in your drink, make sure you say so when you order it. If you make a payment onto the wrong account when you phone up somewhere where you have to pay money into accounts, don't expect a company to know where you intended to direct the payment. You have to tell them what you want in order for them to know. It's all very well and good saying, well, it should be obvious that I didn't want mayonnaise in my sandwich, but what if you did want mayonnaise and they just assume that you didn't? It's just safer for you to just say what you want. Nobody gets confused, nobody has to complain, everybody's happy. Don't get me wrong, sometimes people who give customer service are terrible at it, but maybe if people were better customers, then people would be more inclined to give better service more often. So next time you go into a shop and you're on your phone, ask the person you're speaking to if they can hold on for just a second. Don't just put your money down on the counter when the person waiting to serve you is standing there with their hand out for it. Just be nice to people. Next time someone gives you a service of any kind, whether that be a bus driver, the girl who checks you out behind the till, if you've got to phone the bank, or the guy who makes you coffee in town, just smile at them and tell them to have a good day. Say thank you, show some manners. That little bit of humanity might just make their day.